Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's presentation on self-efficacy. This video is presented by Melissa Downing and Lee Wang. Now before we begin, I'd like to start off our presentation with this quote. If you think you can, you probably can. If you think you can't, well, that self-limiting and self-fulfilling belief might well stop you from doing something you're perfectly capable of doing. Are you familiar with this quote? The answer for me is definitely yes. Here's what we'll be learning this week. First, we're going to provide you with a background on self-efficacy theory, in addition to the leading research and researcher on this theory. Next, we will demonstrate how self-efficacy theory can be applied in the workforce. After that, we will highlight 2 articles on self-efficacy theory. And lastly, there will be an activity in which you can apply what you just learned to your own personal situations. Any ideas on the definition of self-efficacy? Let's watch a clip of my favorite movie, Kung Fu Panda, to see if you can guess.
I'm pretty scared.
You can defeat him, Panda.
Are you kidding? If they can't, they're 5 masters. I'm just one me.
But you will have the one thing that no one else does.
You really believe I'm ready?
You are. Po.
So, what kind of definition did you come up with? I'll give you a couple minutes to think about it. Self-efficacy theory was created by Albert Bandura. Bandura was born on December 4th, 1925 in Mundare, Canada. After graduating from the only high school in his town, Albert enrolled in the University of British Columbia in Vancouver. He received his PhD from the University of Iowa in 1952. In 1953, he began to work at Stanford University. He still teaches there today. In 1995, Bandura published a book about self-efficacy called Self-Efficacy in Changing Societies. Bandura defines self-efficacy as the belief in one's capabilities to organize and execute the courses of action required to manage prospective situations. In other words, self-efficacy is a person's belief in his or her ability to succeed in a particular situation. Self-efficacy beliefs determine how people feel, think, motivate themselves, and behave. Such beliefs produce these diverse effects through 4 major processes. They include cognitive, motivational, affective, and selection processes. Self-efficacy plays an essential part in determining our chances for success. So how can we develop our self-efficacy beliefs? Bandura names 4 ways to develop self-efficacy beliefs. They are social persuasion, mastery experience, vicarious experience, and emotional arousal. When other people encourage and convince you to perform a task, you tend to believe that you are more capable of performing the task. Constructive feedback is important in maintaining a sense of efficacy, as it may help overcome self-doubt. This is social persuasion. If you succeed in performing that task, then you will feel more confident about succeeding in other similar tasks. This is mastery experience. But let's say you haven't done that task yet, but you're observing somebody else who has successfully performed a similar task. You are more likely to feel confident you will succeed, and that is vicarious experience. Lastly, emotional arousal is when moods, emotions, physical reactions, and stress levels may influence how you feel about your personal abilities. If you are extremely nervous or sad or angry, it could lead to a lower sense of self-efficacy. Self-efficacy affects all parts of our life. Let's look at how self-efficacy can be seen in education by reviewing another clip from the popular movie Kung Fu Panda. In this clip, you will see how Po accomplishes several tasks by developing his sense of self-efficacy.
Po is an average panda with a mundane lifestyle who always wanted to be more than just average. Until one day when he's asked onto an elite kung fu fighting team, with the highest skilled professionals ready to battle at any moment. He soon realizes that everyone is an expert in kung fu, and he isn't.
Come on! How am I supposed to beat Tai Lung? I can't even beat you to the stairs!
You will beat him because you are the Dragon Warrior.
Po has now lost all faith in himself to be able to stand up for the fight. But he then realizes that he can kick and jump and fight and run. It's not the skills that are holding him back, yet the only thing in his way is himself. So from a little help from his master...
Well, I'm pretty scared.
You can defeat him, Panda.
Are you kidding? If they can't, they're 5 masters. I'm just one me.
But you will have the one thing that no one else does.
This is where we see the first source of self-efficacy, social persuasion. His master has now boosted Poe's self-efficacy by encouraging him and reassuring them that he is a great kung fu warrior like all the others. This then gives Poe the opportunity to try hard enough to succeed, and has now flushed away any instilled self-doubt that Poe had. This leads into the next source of self-efficacy, mastery experiences. Poe indeed has the kung fu skills he needs and has been using them for ages, just like when he jumps up to get the cookies from the top shelf. Poe has used his past experiences to help him succeed, and this is the most powerful source of Poe's self-efficacy. As he succeeds, his self-efficacy is heightened and now believes that he can go on. The next source of self-efficacy is vicarious experiences, and Poe realises he can learn from the very skilled kung fu team that he's with. This is where he learns and gains confidence in himself to carry on. As he has seen his peers succeed, he too can succeed, and this results in success. And finally, the last source of self-efficacy is the emotional arousal. We see Poe as exhausted and in pain in the beginning of his journey, and with a little bit of effort and persistence, we see Poe is left feeling great, and we now see that Poe's self-efficacy has skyrocketed.
Now let's imagine self-efficacy in the library. Imagine you are a librarian. A patron walks into the library for the first time wanting to find the novel Redwall by Brian Jakes. Since they have never been in the library before, the first thing they do is come to the reference desk to seek your help. What are some ways you could improve the patron's self-efficacy to help them find the book? The librarian in this situation can help the patron in several ways. First, they can use social persuasion to convince the patron that they will have no difficulty finding the book. Next, they can use vicarious experience through the act of showing the patron how to find the book while also explaining how to use the catalog. If the patron successfully finds the book, it will increase their mastery experience and likely make them feel good about their chances of finding another book. This state of positive emotional arousal can lead them to have a higher self-efficacy. To wrap up our presentation, we'd just like to share a couple of articles to continue to help your education about self-efficacy. The first article is named, Success Breeds Success, especially when self-efficacy is related with an internal attribution of causality. The study focuses on how past academic success predicts self-efficacy, which predicts future academic success, depending on the causal attributes of past success. 3 hypotheses about how past academic success influence self-efficacy, which in turn influences future academic success, depending on the causal attribution of performance. The findings show the relevance of mastery experience and past performance in the prediction of future academic performance. Students make causal attributions about their success, which could potentially be internal, motivation, personality, effort, or external, good teachers, good relationships among colleagues. The second article we'd like to discuss is Teacher Self-Efficacy in a Cross-National Perspective. This study focuses on how to gain a better understanding of cross-national similarities and differences related to teacher self-efficacy. They were trying to answer the following 2 questions: whether teacher self-efficacy has the same meaning cross-nationally, and whether there are cross-national differences in average levels of teacher self-efficacy. The findings show teacher self-efficacy has the same physiological meaning in all countries involved because it has a similar factor structure, and it shows the same pattern of positive correlations with job satisfaction and classroom teaching practices. Teacher self-efficacy is not the same at the individual and country level. Cultural norms and values that influence self-presentation, such as norms regarding the expression of modesty and extremity that are particularly important in Confucian societies, but also in other countries where collectivist values are highly endorsed, have a bearing on cross-national differences in teacher self-efficacy. Now we'd like to leave you with a little food for thought, so we'd like to present an activity called Flip. For this activity, you're going to need a piece of paper and a pen or pencil. On the left side of the paper, you're going to write down 2 to 3 failures you may have experienced in the past year. On the right side of the paper, You're going to try and flip that negative experience into a positive one. So you're going to try and think of one way that negative experience could have impacted you positively. For example, you recently failed a test, but instead of feeling discouraged, you studied harder to pass the next one. This activity will challenge you to consider how you can take tasks which normally challenge your self-efficacy and flip them so you can use them to help build your self-efficacy instead. Thank you for watching our video. We hope you enjoyed it and learned a lot about self-efficacy.